What's up, guys and girls? It's Chris here to do a quick video predictions for Wladimir Klitschko against Eddie Chambers and UFC on Versus going down this weekend. Actually, I already did a UFC on Versus video on Sunday. I shot it on Sunday, and I was going to drop it, but that day I dropped a video, and then I ended up dropping another video yesterday on a completely different subject. So I was going to post the one I had already posted, but someone asked me if I was going to do a Klitschko Chambers video, and I wasn't planning on it because it's not shown here in the States, and the bout doesn't hold a whole lot of interest to me. It's not very intriguing, but, I told the guy I would do it, so I'm just going to do that real quick before I get to the UFC on Versus stuff. So, MMA fans, bear with me. This shouldn't take too long. Wladimir Klitschko defending his IBF WBO titles in Germany Saturday against Eddie Chambers. Like I said, this fight is not going to be shown in the States. HBO just declined to pick it up. It's kind of surprising, Klitschko is a dominant champion. He does bring in pretty strong ratings, although his fights aren't always the most entertaining. That's the only thing I could think. Plus, maybe it's not seen as a competitive bout by HBO. And quite honestly, I got to agree. Eddie Chambers, a solid fighter, one of the better American heavyweight fighters out there, for what that's worth. But he's just at a huge disadvantage here, height-wise, size-wise. Just, he's a very good boxer. He's a very slick boxer. But I just don't think he has the tools or, in all honesty, he doesn't have the size to win this fight. I think it'll be somewhat reminiscent of Wladimir Klitschko's destruction of Chris Bird a couple years back. Granted, I think Eddie Chambers is in a much better spot in his career than Wood Bird was at that time, but very similar fighter in size and in style. Eddie Chambers, I do think he should be able to survive. I don't think he's going to get blown out the water necessarily. I don't think he's going to get destroyed easily. Wladimir hasn't won lately in his last few fights to go out there and just try to take opponents apart. He kind of picks them apart over time and ends up stopping them late, usually, just an accumulation of the damage he does. I think that's going to be the similar plan here. It is happening in Germany. I expect a pretty good-sized ring, so Chambers will have plenty of room to move around. But you never know. Maybe the fact the promoters know if Chambers is more of a slick boxer, maybe they'll make it a really small ring, so he won't be able to get away from Wladimir. We shall see. But bottom line is, although Chambers did look really good in his last fight, a win over Demetrico, he's dropped down in weight, a little lower than what he had been, which is better. He looks in better shape, and he looks to be able to, just be more active at this lower weight as far as punch output and stuff. But either way, I don't think it's going to be enough. I see Wladimir Klitschko jabbing him to death. Klitschko drives you crazy because you want him to drop that 1-2 combination, but he holds that right hand for so long. You just like throw that thing, damn it. And he's so content with just out jabbing guys to death. So hopefully he decides to actually drop combinations more often in this fight. No disrespect to Chambers, though. He's a good guy. I've had a chance to speak to him on the radio show. I wish him good luck, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. Real quick, though, why is Eddie Chambers getting this shot over Alexander Povetkin? Povetkin's the #1 contender. He already beat Eddie Chambers a couple years ago, so I don't understand why he's getting the shot before Povetkin. Not to say Povetkin would beat Klitschko, but I just don't understand that. Either way, I'm going to go with Wladimir Klitschko to win this fight by late stoppage. Who knows, maybe I'll catch it online somewhere, but, enjoy the fight, guys, and, hopefully Klitschko will go out there and try to make a statement. Moving on to UFC on Versus going down on Sunday. Unusual to have a UFC on a Sunday. I mean, it's on Versus, which is also unusual, obviously, for the first time. But to have a UFC on a Sunday, it's going to be kind of strange. But free fights, I'm not complaining in any way, shape, or form. Real quick on the undercard, I'm just going to run over it real quick. I'll go with Mike Pierce by decision over Julio Paulino. I'll go with Eric Schaefer by submission over Jason Brills. Brendan Shaw by TKO over Chase Gormley. Dwayne Ludwig by TKO over late replacement Darren Elkins. Unfortunately, Spencer Fisher got hurt. I really wanted to see him against Bang. I thought that would look reminiscent of Fisher's fights against Sam Stout, but hopefully, that'll happen down the line. Vladimir Matyushenko by boring decision over Elliot Marshall. John Howard by decision over late replacement Daniel Roberts. Unfortunately, Anthony Johnson got hurt. Really was looking forward to the fight between him and Howard because they are definitely not fans of one another. Got a bit of a rivalry. Unfortunately, Johnson got hurt. Hopefully that fight will happen down the line or in their next bout. I got to go with Clay Guida by decision over Shannon Googedy because usually when Clay wins, it is by decision. James Irvin against Alessio Sakara. Looking forward to this fight. Should be exciting. James Irvin making his debut at middleweight. Guy that fights out of my area. Exciting fighter. Should be pretty much a stand-up fight. Both guys, that's where they're best at. I think Sakara's better in the boxing, but I do think Irvin's got a more well-rounded stand-up game. He fights more of a Muay Thai style. Hard to say who has the better chin. I'm going to go with Irvin there. I'm curious how this weight cut's going to affect Irvin, though. The guy is massive at light heavyweight. Never really had cardio issues because his fights don't usually go long, but I'm curious to see how he handles this weight cut because he is a really big dude. But that being said, I'm going to go with James, the Sandman Irvin, to put Alessio Sakara to sleep somewhere early in this fight. First round, TKO. What should be a war. I hope we get to see it. Moving on, Czech Congo against Paul Buentello. Actually, I think this fight's going to look somewhat reminiscent of Paul Buentello's fight against Alistair Overeem a couple years ago, where Alistair Overeem used his Muay Thai style to just overwhelm and dominate Paul Buentello in a fight that many thought Buentello was going to win. I believe I may have picked Buentello going into that fight, in all honesty. Buentello's got the puncher's chance. He's got a pretty good punch. And Czech Congo did get knocked down by a punch from Frank Mir, of all people, in his last fight. But, I just think Congo... another thing, Buentello, he couldn't stop Stepan Struve in his last fight. But in the third round of that fight, Stepan Struve kicked the hell out of Paul Buentello's legs. Czech Congo being a Muay Thai fighter, I think he's going to use those leg kicks, early and often. If it gets in the clinch, I think he's really going to go to the body with the knees there really effectively. And if Czech decides to put this fight on the ground, I think he can do some serious damage from the top with the ground and pound, with the elbows and the forearms like he did against Mustafa Al-Turk. Either way, though, bottom line, I'm going to go with Czech Congo to win this fight by TKO. Co-main event of the evening, Junior Dos Santos against Gabriel Gonzaga. Should be an exciting fight, or entertaining fight. Gonzaga, better on the ground. Dos Santos, better on the feet, in my opinion. What this fight boils down to, I know Gonzaga can win this fight if he gets it down to the ground and use his superior submission game, but he just doesn't seem to be into doing that. He's done it before when he's hurt guys, but it just doesn't seem to be the way he likes to fight. Dos Santos has been on a roll, just tearing through guys since he's been in the UFC. Good on the feet. I haven't really got to see much of him on the ground. Actually, not at all, really. Fortunately, he's been able to, avoid that part of the game. Not to say fortunately, I don't know how good he is down there, but we'll see. We may find out in this fight. Either way, though, I got to go with Dos Santos. Gonzaga likes to stand and trade. I think Dos Santos is better there. And Dos Santos is a very aggressive fighter, very confident. Gonzaga, he does good until he's pushed. He seems to wilt. Saw it in the Randy Couture bout, and saw it in the, I wouldn't say you saw it in the Shane Carwin bout, but in the Fabricio Verdun bout. He was winning that fight, and then second round, midway through, all of a sudden he just kind of gave in. He was winning the fight and just kind of, I don't know what happened. But when push comes to shove, Gonzaga just seems to, get shoved down. I think that's going to be the case here. Got to go with Gabriel, or Junior Dos Santos. Yet another TKO. I think it's going to be early. I'm going to go with TKO by first round. Moving on to the main event, we got Bones Jones against Brandon the Truth Vera. This is a fight that's intriguing to me. John Jones, a young up-and-comer, against Vera, the guy who was in that same position when he first came into the UFC, Vera hasn't looked nearly as dynamic since he dropped down light heavyweight. His last, he's been on like a 500 run, his last like 6 fights, I believe, 3-3 or something like that. Jones has looked really good on the feet and in the wrestling department, but I think that Brandon Vera is a much better technical striker. So I'm very curious to see how Jones' unorthodox strikes match up against someone like Vera, who is very skilled in the Muay Thai department. Jones has really good takedowns, but Brandon Vera's got a really good Greco-Roman wrestling game. We saw against Randy Couture. Randy Couture really had a lot of trouble getting him to the ground, and when he did, he wasn't really able to hold him there for long. So, I know Vera looked a lot better lately. Vera hasn't looked good. Jones is training with Greg Jackson's camp, who Keith Jardine fights out of there. Recently had a decision over Brandon Vera not too long ago, so that will be beneficial to him. And I know a lot of people are picking Jones, but I got to go with Brandon Vera in this one. I don't know. I just think style-wise, I know Jones has looked a lot better. I know he's the young up-and-comer, and I know he hasn't really shown any deficiencies in his game yet, but I just think style-wise, that Vera's got the style with the stand-up, with the technique to take Jones out. Not to take him out. I don't think he's going to knock him out, but I do think he can win a decision. Now, granted, Vera hasn't been very active in his fights recently as far as activity rate, so maybe he could lose a decision based on that alone, but I just don't know if Jones' unorthodox striking and his unorthodox throws are going to be able to overtake Brandon Vera in this fight. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go with Brandon the Truth Vera by decision. I won't be surprised if he loses, but I think it should be a good fight, intriguing fight either way. I may be back Sunday night, Monday to talk about these fights afterwards. Not sure. But check out the website, so WeBloodFightShow.com, LeavingInTheRing.com. My Twitter if you're interested. Links in the information bar as always. Until then, y'all, I'm out.